Hey everyone, today we're diving into something we've all experienced, being assessed. We're going to pull back the curtain and look at the hidden rules that are supposed to turn a simple judgment into a really powerful tool for your growth. I mean, who hasn't, right? We've all been there. That sinking feeling in your stomach, waiting for someone to pass judgment on your work. It can feel so random and stressful. But what if I told you that behind every good assessment, there's a whole system of rules designed to stop it from feeling that way? Yep, you heard that right. There's actually a science to it, a kind of professional playbook that's all about making sure the process is fair, accurate, and actually helpful. So today, we're going to dig into that playbook and completely reframe this idea of assessment, not as some final scary verdict, but as the beginning of a really important conversation. Okay, first things first, let's get one thing straight. A proper assessment is way more than just about getting a pass or a fail. The real goal is so much deeper than just a number on a page. All right, let's break this down a bit. On one side, you've got what it usually feels like, right? This big, final, stressful judgment. But the professional reality, well, that's a whole different story. The real point is for it to be a tool for your growth. It's supposed to be diagnostic, to pinpoint where you can get better, and even motivational, to be a supportive thing, not a scary one. So how do we get to that professional reality? Well, it all kicks off with a solid plan. Think about it this way. A great assessor isn't like a judge just showing up to deliver a verdict. Nope. They're more like an architect, carefully designing a fair and meaningful process right from the get-go. And that design, it's built on 4 key steps. First, you have to define the goal. What are we actually trying to measure here? Then, and this is super important, you involve the person being assessed. It's a team effort to agree on how and when. After that, you pick the right tools for the job. And finally, you plan for fairness from the very beginning to make sure everyone gets a real equal shot. Okay, so once that plan is locked in, it's time to actually gather the evidence of your skills. And, just like in a courtroom, that evidence has to be top-notch to be considered reliable. This is where a few core principles of quality become absolutely crucial. And what's so great about these principles is how simple they are to remember. Sufficient, authentic, and current. Just go back to that courtroom idea. You'd want the evidence to be more than just one thing. You'd want it to be your actual actions. And you'd want it to be recent, right? Well, it's the exact same idea here. Let's take a closer look at what each of these really means. First up, we have sufficiency. Basically, this means an assessor can't just base their entire decision on one single thing you did. It's not about a one-hit wonder. For instance, if you're in customer service, one amazing phone call is great, but it's not enough. An assessor needs to see that you can do it again and again, in all sorts of situations. They need enough evidence to be totally sure you've got it down. Next up is authenticity. And this one's pretty straightforward. Is the work actually yours? To figure this out, an assessor won't just glance at a report you handed in. They might sit down with you and ask you to explain how you did it, or to defend the choices you made. That's how they know you didn't just hand something in. You truly understand it. And the last pillar is currency. Oh man, this one is huge today because everything changes so fast. That IT certification you got 5 years ago, that's awesome, but is it still relevant? An assessor has to be sure your skills are sharp right now. So that older certificate, you'll probably need to back it up with a recent project or show you can use today's technology. It's all about proving your skills are for today, not yesterday. Okay, quick recap. We've got a solid plan. We've gathered evidence that's sufficient, authentic, and current. Now for the big moment, making the actual decision. But guess what? Even this part has its own strict set of rules to make sure the final judgment is as fair and unbiased as it can possibly be. So the evidence is all there. How does an assessor actually decide? Well, I can tell you it's not based on a whim or a gut feeling. It comes down to another set of really important principles. Basically, any sound judgment has to pass 4 key tests. First, is it valid? You wouldn't test a chef's cooking ability with a written exam, right? You'd have them cook. Second, is it reliable? Meaning, would 2 different assessors look at the same evidence and come to the same conclusion? Third, is it fair for everyone? And finally, is the decision based on the standards we all agreed on, not just someone's personal opinion? Let's zoom in on fairness for a second, because it's really the heart of this whole thing. And fairness does not mean making the test easier. What it does mean is getting rid of any unnecessary roadblocks and making adjustments so that every single person has an equal opportunity to show what they're capable of. And this is a fantastic example of what that looks like in the real world. Notice, The standard isn't being lowered. The person still has to complete an oral test. But the barrier, the fact they can't hear, is taken away by bringing in an interpreter. The playing field is leveled. Now the test is measuring their knowledge, not their ability to hear. So we've got the planning, we've got the evidence, and we've got the judgment. But there's one last layer that ties it all together and makes the whole system trustworthy. It's the quality assurance process. Think of it as the ultimate safety net. See, the assessor's decision, that's just step one. After that, someone from inside the same organization, an internal quality assurer, double-checks their work to make sure everyone's on the same page. And then finally, an external quality assurer comes in from the official awarding body to check the entire organization. It's this system of checks and balances that makes sure your qualification actually means something and is respected everywhere. So when you put it all together, you can see that a good assessment is so much more than just a grade. It's a carefully planned, evidence-based process with a whole safety net built around it. It's not supposed to be the end of the line. It's just a snapshot of where you are right now. And most importantly, it's the start of a conversation about where you're headed next. It really is a tool for growth. And now you know the hidden rules of the game.